Not too long ago, we looked at the second revision of the RIPS IPS kit for the DMG Game Boy console. While this kit was really impressive with its fantastic screen quality and multiple color palettes, there was one major issue once the kit was installed, and that was button responsiveness. It had been rumored that a version 3 of the RIPS kit would be available soon, and here it is. So join me as we take a closer look at the latest revision of an already fantastic kit to see if we finally have the definitive way to backlight your DMG Game Boy console. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Tito and welcome to another episode of Retro Renew. In today's episode, we're going to look at the newest IPS kit for the DMG. So this is the RIPS IPS version 3 kit. If you remember, just a few weeks ago, I actually took a look at the version 2 RIPS IPS kit, and I went over it and I installed it into a Game Boy DMG. The version 2 IPS kit was fantastic, and really it only had one issue, and that issue was button response. In order to remedy the issue, I actually had to file away some of the material on the rear support posts for the buttons. So after doing that, the button response improved significantly, but it still wasn't perfect. So now we have the latest version of the kit, which is version 3, and hopefully it actually remedies this issue. So I do have the kit here. And it came with a sticker and a card, and this here 3D printed bracket. And then here is the primary kit. So here we have the PCB, some double-sided tape, the IPS panel, the ribbon cable, and the controller board, the LCD controller board. So this is the kit. Again, very similar to the version 2. I do see some differences right off the bat, which I will go over. And first we're going to start off with the PCB. So obviously this looks very similar. I think as far as the form factor, it is the same. The difference you'll immediately notice is actually the entire PCB is a matte black finish as opposed to the standard green color that was the version 2. And then the button contacts are actually quite a bit different as well. They appear to be kind of gold in color as opposed to the silver. And again, like the previous kit, it doesn't come with a speaker, so you will need to install that, either reusing your old one or putting in a new one. Yeah, so that's the front PCB, again, a complete replacement. So next here, I'm gonna go over the IPS display, and it actually appears to be very similar to the previous one. I'm noticing the main difference here is the connector. So this is kind of the Lego style connector, much like the Funny Playing IPS kits. It's a little bit different. So that's the IPS display. So next item I'm going to go over is the display controller board. So again, it does look to be very similar to the prior one. Main differences being the color of the PCB, which again is black to match the main board front PCB for the DMG console. And also, obviously, to accommodate that new connector for the IPS, this too has a different connector. The IPS from the version 2 is obviously not going to be backwards compatible with these kits. So that's your PCB controller board. Now, the next item, of course, just like the other kit, it comes with double-sided tape, but we will not be using this because, like the other kit, Handheld Legends offered a 3D printed bracket. So again, we're going to be using this. This is going to help us align and center the LCD into the DMG console, which is fantastic because having to sort of eyeball it and rely on adhesive and tape is really not an ideal way in order to install these types of kits. So that's the 3D printed bracket. That's essentially the RIPS DMG version 3 IPS kit. And to sort of round off the install, I actually purchased a new shell, screen lens, and some button membranes for this build, also from Handheld Legends. So, and this is it right here. So I bought yellow button membranes, including the start and select button. So that's going to be pretty cool to sort of match with the shell, even though it's a different hue of yellow. I got here an orange screen lens. This one's actually plastic, it's not glass, but it should work just fine. And then of course the yellow shell. In the end, we'll see how it looks. I think it should be a pretty cool build. All right, so with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with this install. All right, so as usual, I'm actually very impressed with the results. So I have the unit right here. It came out pretty good. And so I'm actually really happy to say that I haven't experienced any issues with the button contacts, so it does appear that that issue was resolved. In essence, I think this is the perfect kit and really the best way to backlight your DMG. And also be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you how this LCD actually compares to the version 2 display, and really right off the bat, I can't really see any discernible difference between the two, but do stick around so you can actually make the comparison and judgment yourself. Now, while installing this kit, I did notice one thing, and I wonder if it is what contributed to the button issues of the version 2, although it's strange because the version 3 actually has the same characteristic. The front PCB on these kits are actually quite a bit thicker than the original OEM Game Boy PCB, so I'm curious if this is what contributed to the issues of the version 2, because this added thickness may cause some additional pressure on the PCB from the support posts on the back shell. And I'm actually wondering what you guys think. Leave a comment below if you think that this may actually cause the issue. I'm interested to hear what y'all think, but it's just interesting because both the version 2 and the version 3 have the same thickness, and they're both quite a bit thicker than the original OEM PCB. So on another note, I did run into a hiccup while installing this kit. The 3D printed bracket actually did not fit the IPS panel, so I checked my order from Handheld Legends and it appears that I accidentally ordered the version 2 bracket, which tells me that this LCD is actually physically different from the version 2 IPS. If you are ordering this kit from Handheld Legends and you do want an aligning bracket, be sure you're ordering the version 3 and not the version 2. So I was actually able to modify this bracket so that it could fit the wider IPS panel as well as the LCD controller board, so it wasn't a huge issue for me, but if you want to save yourself the hassle, be sure to order the right one. Now, typically I would go over the pros and cons, but they're essentially the same as the prior video I did of the version 2 RIPS IPS kit, with the exception of now the buttons actually work perfectly. If you do want to see that review, check out my other video on the version 2 IPS kit, which you can see by clicking the card at the top of your screen or in the link in the description below. But overall, I think this kit is perfect for backlighting your DMG, and you really can't go wrong with this purchase. Now let's take a look at some footage of the version 2 kit versus the version 3 unit, and really they're very similar. Again, like I said, I really don't see any discernible difference, and both of these displays are just fantastic and really just a pleasure to look at. Now, any difference in the brightness that you may notice in the comparison is just due to the brightness setting of the unit. I filmed this footage using the same camera settings, but I may have not set the brightness to each unit at the same level. But there you have it, a comparison of the IPS panels from each kit. Both look fantastic, and I really can't see any difference in the quality of the picture. So really, the primary takeaway is that the main benefit of this kit is really just the fix for the button response issue, which I can say seems to be totally fixed. Not sure how it was accomplished, but I didn't need to cut the D-pad support post like I did in the previous version 2 kit, so that's really just great. You don't have to do any further modification to the shells like I did in the version 2. So there you have it, the Game Boy DMG RIPS IPS version 3 mod. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I release videos every Thursday, and as always, we'll see you next time.